Stage 3 of the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour at Dale Hollow just ended, and today in this video we're going to talk about Dale Hollow and the exceptional fishing that happened. We're going to go over the top 10 anglers and the winner, how the area fished, what they were doing, and then lastly we're going to go over the points and see who's in and who's out of that top 65. But before we do that, if you can do me a favor, click that like and subscribe button to become part of the team and family, and I really do appreciate it. Well, if you missed Dale Hollow, you missed an unbelievable fishery. Dale Hollow for years has been on my bucket list of someplace I want to go, just because I am infatuated with smallmouth fishing, because I just don't get to do it. And Dale Hollow is well recognized as having humongous smallmouth as well as a very good population of largemouth bass. It's an area that the tournament trails have not went to, and after this past weekend with Major League Fishing and the Bass Pro Tour up there, I think it'll have a lot more pressure. Not like it probably doesn't get a lot of pressure as is, but I can see a lot of tournament organizations going there because the fishing was as good as it gets anywhere throughout the country. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of people that are unhappy with what happened. It was another dominating performance with forward-facing sonar. If you weren't competent with your forward-facing sonar, you didn't do well. But there was some great things that happened during the event. Just to start off with, I'm not a fan of forward-facing sonar in tournaments. I think that if I was a tournament angler, I would know it as well as I could. We're now starting to see some of the veteran anglers realizing that if they're not proficient at forward-facing sonar, they're not going to be fighting for that championship. And anglers like Alton Jones, who is a veteran, and other anglers are embracing that technology right now, because if you're not using it, you're getting beat without any question. From up north to down here in Florida, forward-facing sonar is prominent in every fishing tournament. And while I dislike the guys staring down, looking at their monitors and scoping, the thing that made Dale Hollow so amazing was there was a catch every couple minutes. The score tracker was constantly going and going. There wasn't any lulls in the fishing. And that's where I get frustrated when they're stuck on one person, and that person first off is fishing, looking down at their scope, at their video screen, and then also not catching fish. Well, then the fishing becomes very boring to watch. And in this one instance, this tournament did not have that. There was constant one after another after another. It didn't seem like a minute or two that went by without them changing to another angler and them catching a fish. But again, forward-facing sonar was it. If you weren't scoping, you weren't in the mix. And the top 10 anglers that finished were Jacob Wheeler, the heir apparent to being the GOAT. There is very little you can say about Jacob Wheeler right now. He is just, I think I saw something online that said he's been the #1 angler for 5 straight years on Bass Fan. He is the most dominating angler there is. Even when he has a bad tournament, it isn't that bad. He's consistent and he can fish. And his Crush City lures are just as good as anything right now and winning tournaments. So Jacob Wheeler was in first. Michael Neal, who I think doesn't get enough credit for just how good of an angler he is. I actually thought last year he would win Angler of the Year, and he didn't. But he's so good everywhere he goes. So good. Third place was Spencer Shuffield. Fourth was Drew Gill. Alton Jones Jr. in fifth. Marshall Robinson, Dustin Cannell, Justin Lucas, Keith Poche, and Alton Jones Sr. were the top 10. And all of them scoped. All of them. From Alton Jones all the way down to Wheeler were scoping. But another video we need to do is we need to start talking about that relationship with Wheeler and Cannell and say these two guys together are really pretty special. And at any point in time, either one can win. And they are two fantastic anglers. And we probably need to start talking about Dustin being in that realm or that sentence of the best anglers on the planet. Jacob Wheeler and Dustin Cannell are consistent. And quite honestly, Alton Jones Jr. is unbelievable. Jones Jr. and Michael Neal, there's a handful of guys over there on Major League Fishing and the Bass Pro Tour that win consistently or in that top 5 or top 10. And those 4 guys are constantly. Drew Gill, Matt Becker, these guys are really fantastic anglers. And there's a lot of great anglers on bass too, but we're just talking about Major League Fishing. So where do the points stand? Now, to be honest, I have to write this down. These numbers I get are from 2019 through 2024, through yesterday's tournament. I've put all of them in the AOI standings on where they finished at the end of the year, not by points, by their ranking. So if Justin Wheeler came in first, he's number 1 for the year. And I put all those in points from 2019 to 24. Also, I have not, and I want to make that very clear, I have not taken out their worst year, because there's a possibility that their worst year could be this year. Truthfully, I think it's going to be a year of COVID because there wasn't any points given out and stuff like that, but I think that could be their worst year. But like in Jacob Wheeler, I think his worst year might be 3rd or 4th or 5th. I mean, he's been consistent over the last 5 or 6 years. But I have not removed their worst year. And then what I've done is I've taken all those points, given them a final point total, and then divided it by how many years they're in and gotten that result. And there's some guys in the bottom that need some serious help or else they won't qualify. Rookies like Kobe Schumpf, Jason Vance, Jacopo Gillelli, these guys are on the very bottom. They're 79, 78, 77 right now. Then you have Boyd Duckett, Cliff Crochet, Kelly Jordan, and John Murray. Joshua Weaver, who's in 63rd in the Angler of the Year points, is 73rd, crazy enough because he just doesn't have enough time on the Bass Pro Tour. Gary Klein, Marty Robinson, Gray Buck, who is currently in 56th, is on that verge. Brandon Coulter, Matt Lee, David Walker, Scott Suggs is in 65th right now. And then you have Skeet Reese, Randy Howell, Britt Myers, Dean Rojas, who's having a great year. He's actually in 18th place for 2024, but he's in 61st overall over all those years. So when he takes off that bad year, that could really help him. And then Dave Lefebvre is in that top 60 or 60 through 80. Those 20 anglers are really on that verge of having to go back down to the invitationals or requalify, or going to the opens and trying to qualify for the elites. So there's lots of guys on there that are on that verge or really need to have some great tournaments upcoming, or else they'll be kicked out of that top 65. And really, if they don't have some really consistent tournaments upcoming in these 4 through 8, it's really all over for them, unfortunately. And unless there's some sort of legendary exemption or something else, I just don't see how Gary and Boyd make it into next year's tournament. And if they do, that's something we need to discuss, because I don't really think, no offense to Boyd just hasn't done it. There's certain people that doesn't mean it's not taking anything away from him as an angler or any of those other guys as anglers. Obviously, they're better than 99% of the country. But when you put them against the top echelon of anglers, then that's when it's a little bit different. In terms of Boyd, he's in that 77, 76 for 5 or 6 years. He just can't get himself out of it. And I know that'll make a lot of people happy. We'll see what happens. I guess that's the best way to put it. So thanks for hitting that like and subscribe button. Make sure you comment below and tell me what you think. Remember, take a kid fishing, get your fish on. I'll talk to you very, very soon. Cheers. Thank you.